Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney and today is Friday, February 25th. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. This is where we talk about the stories that you all are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and our app. And we start with history being made today, where President Biden has announced Ketanji Brown Jackson as a Supreme Court nominee. I say history being made today because she is the first black woman to even be nominated to serve in our country's highest court. She would replace, if confirmed through the Senate, liberal Justice Stephen Breyer, who is 83 years old, and he is retiring at the end of the term this summer. So the court's 6-3 majority would still hold, as Ketanji Brown Jackson is considered to be of a similar mindset. Now, President Biden has called her a proven consensus builder, calling her having a pragmatic understanding that the law must work for the American people, saying that she strives to be fair, to get it right, and to do justice. Now, this comes as her also being an attorney who would be the High Court's first former public defender, with also the elite legal background that the other justices share. She would be the current court's second black justice and only the third black justice on the Supreme Court in history, and as again we said, the first black woman and only the 6th woman overall to serve on the court. And she would join 3 who are already there right now, including the first Latina Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Jackson would join the court as it has many pivotal cases in front of it. It will look soon to weigh cutbacks to abortion rights, as well as considering ending affirmative action in college admissions and restricting voting rights efforts that were put in place to increase minority representation. We'll continue to stay with you and let you know what happens as that nomination process unfolds in the Senate. Now today, Ukraine's capital is under threat as Russia presses its invasion. There have been reports of hundreds of casualties from the warfare. This includes something called shelling that sliced through a Kyiv apartment building, and that include bridges and schools. Now, if you're hearing a lot about shelling, you're wondering what that is. Shelling is a tactic in warfare that involves firing large shells or containers full of explosives. We're talking about artillery fire here, big guns launching huge projectiles from far away positions. And there are growing signs that Vladimir Putin's Russian military may seek to overthrow the Ukrainian government. U.S. President Joe Biden and NATO counterparts agreed at an urgent meeting to send parts of NATO's response force to help protect its member nations for the first time. NATO didn't say how many troops would be deployed, but it did say it would involve land, air, and sea power. Now, it's unclear at this point how much of Ukraine remains under Ukrainian control and how much or little Russian forces have taken control of at this point. The Kremlin did accept Kyiv's offer to hold talks, but it appears that might be an effort to squeeze concessions out of Ukraine's president and not necessarily a gesture towards a diplomatic solution. This is obviously a developing situation. We will stay with it and bring you updates as we have it. Now, a lot of people are wondering, why is Russia invading Ukraine? And that answer is complicated, but one of the most obvious reasons for invasion is because Russia wants to stop Ukraine from joining NATO. NATO's land border with Russia would become much larger if Ukraine had joined NATO. And Russia has established a naval base as well in Crimea after it annexed Crimea. That was back in 2014. That's a portion of Ukraine. And if Ukraine were to join NATO, this would give Ukraine many more resources to try to take back that piece of land. Now, we talked a bit ago this week about how people feel about what's happening in Russia and in Ukraine. We're getting 2 clear signals of how certain people at least feel about this. A Russian tennis player, Andrei Rublev, wrote "No war, please" on a camera. This was after winning in Dubai. And then also former heavyweight world champion boxers Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko have said they plan to help defend Ukraine against Russian invasion. Vladimir joined Ukraine's reserve army last month, and Vitaly is the current mayor of Ukraine's capital in Kyiv. Again, we will continue to bring you updates on this as we have them. Now back here home in Northeast Ohio, thousands of people are without power today because wintry weather has impacted us here in Northeast Ohio. Summit and Portage counties were hit the hardest, with outages reported through the morning and into the afternoon. First Energy's outage map is saying the outages were due to severe weather. That included icy conditions in the latest round of wintry weather making its way through Northeast Ohio. I can tell you personally, my car was completely iced over. It didn't lose power, thankfully, on the west side of Cleveland, but my car was completely iced over. Had to really get out there with the scraper this morning. It was like a shell of ice on the entire outside from that freezing rain. Here's the outages situation as of this afternoon. Summit had about 2,600 outages. That's down from 5,000 that were reported in the morning. In Portage County this afternoon, 760 outages. Quite the improvement, though, because there were about 7,700 outages at 6:30 this morning. And in Cuyahoga County this afternoon, about 108 outages, down from about 2,700 outages later this morning. More news out of Cuyahoga County. A grand jury has chosen not to indict a Cleveland officer in the deadly April 2021 shooting of Inez Kirk Lee Jr., that 25-year-old. This is according to an update from Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. This morning, the grand jury ruled that the officer had acted properly based on its review of a thorough independent investigation, and Yost said that the goal is always to find the truth. Now remember, this situation goes back to April 15th, 2021. Lee was fatally shot by an officer at around East 134th Street here in Cleveland. Yost said that the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department investigated the shooting, and the Bureau of Criminal Investigation's crime scene unit also helped investigate that shooting. And the complete investigative file is online, and we have that link to WKYC.com if you would like to check that out for yourself. Now let's talk about the latest COVID-19 numbers here in Ohio. As you know, we're shifting our focus to the hospitalizations, and in the last 24 hours right now there are 1,202 people currently hospitalized being treated for COVID-19. That's down 60 from yesterday. And out of those people, 236 of them are being treated in an ICU. That's also down about 13 from yesterday. Not about 13, exactly 13 from yesterday. The total number of COVID-19 deaths that we've had here in Ohio since we first became aware of COVID-19 being present, dating back to March 2020, 36,580. And our newest COVID-19 case numbers over the past 24 hours, 1,612 reported COVID-19 cases. Remember, that does not include those at-home tests. That only includes those official tests being conducted at medical facilities and those official PCR tests at those locations where you can get those here in the Northeast Ohio and, all throughout the Ohio area. But here's some news that has a lot of people very happy. The CDC is expected to drop indoor mask recommendations today, and the Biden administration will also then expect it to be loosening federal mask wearing guidelines today. This is according to two people familiar with the matter, and that means most Americans won't be advised to wear masks in public settings when this happens. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will announce that change in its metric to determine whether to recommend face coverings. Now, under current guidelines, masks are recommended for people if you're in a community with substantial or high transmission. That's about 95% of U.S. counties, according to the latest data. But the new way to look at this will still consider caseloads, but also hospitalizations and local hospital capacity. That's what we've been talking about. That's what the medical professionals have been saying. That's the way we should be going, looking at those numbers. And those have improved during the emergence of the Omicron variant. So we will continue to follow that. And in the lighter side of the news, Jimmy Fallon was making fun of Cleveland and Elon Musk on The Tonight Show last night. He made Cleveland a little bit of a punchline, and he does that from time to time. He was talking about Elon Musk's net worth dropping below $200 billion. And he said now when he flies to space, he has to connect in Cleveland. Ha, 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 Jimmy Fallon. Now, this is not the first time that he made fun of flying here in Cleveland. Back in 2020, he made a joke about a Cleveland connection. When The Bachelor was filming here in Northeast Ohio, we said that the girls were pretty surprised when Chris Harrison told them they were going on a group date to Cleveland, and they said, this isn't a romantic date, this is a layover. Oh, dagger, Jimmy Fallon. And then he went on to say they had played some football at First Energy Stadium. He said, half the girls got roses and the other girls got contracts from the Browns. Womp, womp, womp. Jimmy Fallon, we appreciate you, but you're being so hard on Cleveland. It's not a layover city. It's a final destination, people, and a pretty great one. Now, as we end this week, let's end it with some good news. We've made some changes to the Good News Show. It's called It's All Good News. It drops every Thursday now at 1 p.m. on the WKYC YouTube page. We've got a brand new segment called Good Vibes Only, where we are sharing good vibes for people in our community who are doing big things. Want to shout out to Courtney and Patrick Ayers. They were in the middle of their second embryo transfer. They've been trying to get pregnant for 3 years. She is documenting it beautifully on social media. I asked her about it. Courtney and I happen to be longtime friends. We went to elementary school together back in Canton at Durban Elementary, which is no longer standing, sadly. But I asked her about this, and she said that she is documenting it this way because she's hoping to share it with the little one someday. So 3-year journey, hoping this develops into a pregnancy for the Ayers family. We are sending you all of our good vibes today, hoping for good news with that little embryo. They call it their little MB. So here's hoping that little MB sticks for Courtney and Patrick. And we want you to make sure you send us your good news. So if you're posting online and you're hoping for something big and you want some good vibes, or something's making you smile, or you had a big win, maybe, let us know. Use that hashtag GoodNewsCLE. Send it to us through the WKYC app, or post on one of our many posts on social media. You'll see us celebrating your good news on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And you know, you guys can always message me _Stephanie Haney on Twitter and Instagram. That's it for 3 News Now this week and for today, Friday, February 25th. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and I will see you back here with more 3 News Now on Monday.